everybody. Our first person coming out is producer Dana Lustig. Dana Lustig is executive producer on Spider in the Web, starring Ben Kingsley and Monica Bellucci, and the Israeli hit series Very Important Man. Previous to that, Dana produced Jungle, starring Daniel Radcliffe, directed A Thousand Kisses Deep, which was nominated for the British Independent Film Award, and is set to direct the remake of the Israeli movie The Man in the Wall this fall. Additionally, we have director Assaf Bernstein. Assaf Bernstein, best known as the critically acclaimed director of Netflix's massive hit series Fauda, most recently directed the pilot episode of Warrior, the Bruce Lee-inspired series created for Cinemax. Look Away is his first U.S. feature, produced by Dana Lustig, starring India Isley, Academy Award winner Mira Sorvino, and Jason Isaacs. Additionally, we will be moderated by Dan Mackler, director of the NYFA LA campus.
So, Dana, thanks for coming.
Hi.
I think you can see some of your students out here. So I was going to start by maybe you could talk a little about the script and how it came about and the evolution of it.
It started when I was 10 years old, and this film is kind of the sum of all my fears. I had this idea of my own reflection not quite reflecting me, and I think there's something there. If you really look at yourself in the mirror, you always make a face, or, you never actually just look at yourself. You always look away from what you see. And I think the idea that your reflection is a stranger to you is something that has some truth in it. So that sort of fear that made me not look in the mirror in my bathroom, which I remember as a kid, I always thought would be the first film I'll make. And when I went to NYU Film School, like you guys, I wrote an outline for that film. It was called The Mirror. And it's very much the same film that you saw today, but it was all from the point of view of the young woman or the young man, sort of angry, and it was more horror-y. It didn't have the perspective of the parents, and only when, and I never wrote the script. It frightened me what came out of it, and I just, there's no way I'm writing anything so fucking creepy, and I just didn't do it. And 20 years later, when my second son was born, second child, my son, my wife kicked me out of the house and said, now's the time for you to write this screenplay. So I wrote that. I opened up this outline, which I had all those years, and I wrote the screenplay, which is the film that you've just seen. So yeah, I guess it's 30 years
why
in the
make it
making.
a girl and not a boy?
I think I think women are more repressed traditionally than men. There's more pressure on them to behave a certain way, to look a certain way. When a woman, a child, or a teenager becomes sexual, there's something dramatic about it. And being a father to two daughters, one of them a teenager, this is like the father's worst nightmare, is that his daughter would sort of become this sexual predator. I guess that's why,
But she was always a girl, right?
She was
Even
always a girl.
when you were a student, you wrote her as a girl.
Yeah.
At what age will you let your daughter see this film?
It's a very good question. There's going to be a premiere in Israel, and I actually told her that she can come and see it, and I'll just cover her eyes and the nasty bits.
She's seen worse.
She's seen worse, that's true. I'm dying to make something that my kids can see, but maybe next one. Well, let's just grow older.
So Dana, maybe talk a little about how you helped, find the money for this film and make it, bring it to life.
But should we tell the story?
Sure, tell the story. It's real life.
We met through other team of producers in Israel, and they they thought that they had the money, and they actually came into town. They claimed that they had the money, and they actually came into town, and we gave offers to actors, and we actually had another actress. We won't say her name, right? But we had another actress attached.
And another actor.
And another actor.
Famous actor.
We can say that.
No, don't say.
We're gonna
can get into trouble.
We get into trouble. And we gave offers, and the big problem is that when you know, what we have is reputation, right? Besides talent, right? The first thing we have to have is talent. But then we have to have reputation, and good reputation in this town. You can't be walking around saying you're making movies and make offers to actors and then not follow through, and then the next time you call their agent to make a movie with them, they won't pick up the phone. So good reputation is your currency. And they came into town and they said, make offers to those actors, and I did, and I trusted that they had the money. And the actors said yes. And again, part of the thing that they wanted is my good reputation, so that actors will know, because they're from Israel, right? And you know, it's like, why would actors trust and say yes? And so those actors said yes, but I told them, don't advertise it. Don't put it in any publications. And AFM came around. You know what AFM is? The American Film Market, right? AFM came around. I'll never forget that moment. And I see in the trades a poster of those two actors. And,
it was in the trades?
And it was in the, or maybe it wasn't in the trades, I'm sorry, it was in the booklet of the foreign sales company or something. And that took it to the trade, not to the trades, but to the AFM booklet or something. And I almost,
and then it all exploded.
And then it all exploded, and we realized I don't have my money, and then Assaf actually.
But I found Donna this way. We stuck
together. Right.
So there's a silver lining in every cloud.
So how was the casting process to find these actors?
When the film became real, this time we went the other way around. We had the money first.
Right, in the bank.
Yes, and then we could actually start
giving
have
real
a start
offers.
date and you know, make offers for the parents and find the girl. So finding the girl was, of course, the thing, and surprisingly enough, India came in the second hour of the first day of auditions. And she was clearly...
And that was it.
That was it. So we kept auditioning because we already paid a casting director a lot of money. And she had very good snacks. But
she did.
She did. But we all knew that was it, kind of, from the beginning.
And it was very interesting because the original actress, who was extremely upset about this whole thing, right? And her agent actually pulled her off the project and say, you know, and like, we're very upset about the fact that we advertised her and without her permission and all that. She really wanted to do it now. She came back, and it was like really amazing.
She almost got it, yeah.
When her agents pulled her out of the project, you begged her. You had phone calls with her, you had emails with her, begging her to stay.
Damn.
Right? When you look back. And he thought it's the end of the world that we lost her. And then India came in, and she had him at hello. I mean, she had all of us. It was just like, there was no way back. And the poor other girl that had the job, had it all, came to audition. She wanted it so much. She wanted it back. And she came to audition, and she did a good audition, but too late.
So the lesson
she
here
lost
is,
it.
you think it's the end of the world many times.
Yeah.
And it isn't.
Yeah.
And what comes around kind of goes around sometimes.
Can you talk about maybe the on set with her? Because it seems like her roles, you know, have preparation. You would work with her on the two characters that she plays.
Yeah, there was a lot of technical trickery to achieve here, especially with her going sort of in and out of sync, because that was extremely hard to do. You can't really use a CGI because then you'll notice the going in and out. So what we did is, we did it with a metronome, like a ballet dance, and she would pick up, you know, it would go 1, 2, 3, pick up the brush, 2, 3, comb your hair. And in this way, she could mimic her movements, but do a slight discrepancy each time. So that's how she did that.
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
I think it's a genius. You can't.
It worked.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was really. It took a lot of brainstorming to figure out how to do it in Berlin. And there was 2 bathrooms, of course, built, so she could hop to the other side to play both sides. Sometimes we would just use another actress for an overshoulder. Sometimes it would be a real mirror, and the camera would move around her. There's one scene here where she plays both characters. She just transitions so quickly that the camera can pan between them or move around her, and we just erase the camera.
Did you notice that? Basically, that she's Maria.
No
the
cuts.
Camera, no cuts. She's Maria. The camera pans to the mirror, and it's her as Aaron. Pans back.
Yeah.
It's her as
she
and
could
no
get
cut.
teary just in 3 seconds.
Unbelievable.
Immediately wipe her tears.
Wow.
She's very, very good. She's a very talented young woman. Yeah.
Very
We got
intelligent.
lucky.
Did you have a lot of time for rehearsal before you started shooting?
None. I mean, I had the time, but with actors, I usually just ask them what they need, what they want, because it depends and it differs. I used to teach acting between gigs, so I know kind of it's very different from every actor, and you don't want to put an actor who doesn't like to rehearse in a rehearsal situation. If you have a scene with one who doesn't and one who does, you're in a bit of a spot. But so none of them did. They actually didn't want to meet, like Jason Isaacs, who played the dad, and India didn't want to meet before. They met kind of like on the day. Because they wanted to keep that distance between them.
So, what about location? I mean, I love the setting, the location. It feels cold and spooky and everything. How did you come across where you're going to shoot it?
Well, I'll talk about the on-screen. You can talk about the off-screen stuff. On-screen, I mean, the idea of having this movie, sort of the ice theme in it, was in the original outline of the 21-year-old guy. The whole prom on ice, the whole ice skating thing, sort of the prison of aesthetics and beauty that this poor woman is subjugated to. That whole vision was in the script and in this project forever. Making it a reality was a bit of a
Nightmare.
trick. Yeah, so we went all the way to Winnipeg for many reasons, and you can continue from here talking about Winnipeg.
So Winnipeg is a small town in Canada. There's a couple of attractive things about Winnipeg. It's actually the second movie that I shot in Winnipeg.
That's
I directed one a few years earlier.
You're a veteran.
And I'm a veteran of Winnipeg. And the good thing is that they have like almost 70% of rebate on local hire. And you're allowed to bring, you're allowed to bring people in, and if you bring people in, you get 60% on them, so the rebate is incredible. The problem is that you have very few crews, so if there's another bigger movie that comes into town at the same time, the A crew goes there, and you're stuck with like
in the middle. They can do that.
Yeah, or in the middle, or in the
in the end of it.
And so that was one challenge, that we had to bring in a lot of people. In Canada, there were no people, nobody was available.
Yeah.
Like, it was unbelievable.
And it's freezing. The scene on the ice was on -47.
Yeah, we thought she was going to die.
Yeah.
There was a moment she went into the bathroom, remember?
Yeah.
And we thought
she
that
threw up on the ice, poor girl.
Yeah, it was
It's really difficult.
It was very difficult.
Really difficult. You're outside. You're a strong woman.
Well,
you had to prove all the big Canadian boys that, you're stronger than they are.
I had to, because it's very unionized, and they don't always like, I shot in many places around the world, and they don't always like the people from LA, it's like, so you have to, as the producer, you have to go out there and show them that you're tough, that, they can't.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so when we were doing the driving scenes, it was like one of those insert cars, those open cars, and it was like
Just sitting
27
outside.
minus that day. I was sitting outside. They were all,
It's crazy.
in the following van,
Yeah.
and I was just sitting with them, and just to show them, I don't want any excuses. If I'm here, you're here with me. But I'll tell you the other sad part is that we had no snow and we had no ice. Global warming, they haven't seen anything like that, but it was Halloween
Yeah.
and there was no ice and we were shooting, so we changed our schedule to shoot all the and you can see the house is all huge windows. The house is basically
Basically an exterior set.
basically an
Yeah.
exterior set, and we had no snow, so we had to start shooting in all the interior stuff where you wouldn't see the school. So the school already had snow. What did we shoot? I don't
No, we
remember.
started with the school. But anyway, we
but
did get the
there's-
snow
yeah.
eventually, as you
But
can
we
see.
were praying. We were doing the snow
We were
dance every
praying,
night. We
that's
were like
right.
really praying and going
Yeah.
every night and think, what are we going to do? And we started thinking to get fake snow and
We did get a bit of fake
right?
snow, yeah.
And it was like it was like magic. Like the day before we shot, we came to the house and that night,
Yeah.
we woke up and it was like the city was cold. But global warming is really, really affecting. It's real, and it's really affecting their.
So you had to rearrange your shooting schedule a bunch of times.
For
And how many days
yeah.
total did you have? And
25, right?
25 days?
25, 5 days.
For how many pages was that? That was
107.
7 pages.
It was very tough. I mean, I shot movies for 18 days, same length. But, and that's what, it's very sad today in the industry. I mean, they shoot movies in 15 days now. But this was an art, to get the performance, to get an actress doing 2 roles in the same time. You can't shoot, even to bring 2 cameras and shoot, coverage. You can't, because it's the same actress. So you have to shoot the same scene. It was tough. And they have, it's very, very unionized in Canada. So
Every second counts.
every second counts, yeah. And when it's cold, everybody moves slower and you wear those huge coats and boots and you have to
Yeah.
come into the house, you have to take off the boots. Then you go out for a cigarette break, not me, but the ones that smoke. You go out, you have to put the boots on, then you have to come in,
It slows everything down,
You lose
drastically.
hours. Yeah.
and they have these warm sandwich and warm soup breaks
Yeah,
every
like
hour.
every I don't know how long we had to break for them to eat. They have to eat. I
Yeah.
gained 15 pounds.
How was the post-production part of it as far as did you feel like the story that you wrote was a story you saw on the screen? Did you feel that there was some things after your editing that you thought was too much or you wish you had something?
Yeah, but because I wrote it, I think I was not as good as a director in the editing bay as I could have been. It was a very emotional time for me as well, because my father died when I was editing the film, and I was kind of always afraid I was going to die on set, and then there's this terrible scene where she kills the father, so it all got mixed in my mind. But so I'm usually very decisive, and I cut very quickly because I do a lot of television too.
Right.
So it's like, 5 days, the episode's done, thank you, goodbye. And here we just had months and months of deliberations and going around, and basically it was the same film. So some scenes I love ended up on the cutting room floor.
Yeah.
And I see it now, I think it's the best possible result, but I'm not sure. Probably when I'll see it in a year, I'll go, oh no, I could have done this, I could have done that. Because when you write and direct, you're so attached and protective and precious.
Did you have an editor that was doing a cut of it before you would look at it, or did you at every point
Kind of,
make
because he was
decisions?
cutting when I was shooting, and I never, ever, ever watch anything when I'm shooting. I highly recommend you guys not to do it, because you can watch rushes, but not cut stuff, because it just looks like hell, and then you lose all your confidence. That's me. So I don't recommend doing it. Producers will always push you to that, and
I think it's good to cut, but not necessarily to have the director watch.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a very good tool to know, okay, we're missing this and this. You're on the set,
Sure.
editor calls and, hey, pick up that shot, we're missing it. Where later it's too late because you're not there.
I have more questions, but I want to make sure everyone has an opportunity to. If anyone has a question, please line up or go back to the mic.
Thank you very much for the movie. I'm so grateful
Thank you.
that after a couple of decades you actually decided to do it. It's a beautiful story. My question is, what was the budget and how did you finance the movie?
The budget is around 3 million. We were very, very, very lucky where Assaf's best friend basically financed the movie. If we can say the company,
Yeah,
no?
absolutely.
You know the company Wix?
I don't know.
Wix, who knows Wix? He's one of the founders of Wix. So, as Assaf says, he's probably 3 or 4 times richer since we started the movie.
which is a good thing. His karma paid off. What comes around goes around.
Yeah,
so-
the stocks are going up every day.
And he was not a rich. He was a rich man, but he was not like super rich when he cut that check. So
Well, he was super rich, you know. I mean,
not that.
you don't write $3 million, $2.5 million check if you're not super rich.
No, I know, but you know what I'm saying. It was a huge chunk of money for him.
It is, but
Yeah. Anyway, he's a very, very good friend.
But more
Yes.
than just being a friend, I
Yeah.
mean, you have a great history, and maybe we could talk a little about everyone who has seen Fauda on
Fauda.
Netflix. Fauda. Well, I recommend everyone go see that on Netflix. Fauda. It's a great. You'll never be able to stop once you start.
yeah.
So maybe talk a little about how that came about. Because
Fauda?
Yeah.
Fauda, I heard about Fauda being... Fauda, if you don't know, it's a Netflix show, originated in Israel. It's about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. And it tells the story from both sides of the conflict. So when I heard that there was a project like that happening, I immediately wanted to do it because I was looking for something in that space. But there was another director attached at the time. But usually when you set your mind to something, things kind of clear the way. So he died a mysterious death. No, he didn't. I'm just kidding.
In
he just
Winnipeg.
went and he did another show. But it wasn't what it was later. So and then I just got in there were a bunch of very good people looking for a filmmaker kind of to put it together because they were 3 years in the writing scripts, couldn't really get it into shape. So being a writer, I know how to sort of crack the whip with other writers without being, insensitive, because I know how hard it is to write. So we wrote it together, we put it together, and then I just shot it, and it became a very successful series. It was the #1 Netflix foreign show last year.
Stephen King tweeted about it.
Yeah, well, lots of people love it. Yeah.
Go home and watch it. It's amazing.
And then
yeah.
right after we did this movie, I mean, this was after
You didn't
Fauda.
You didn't know how big of a hit
No.
Fauda is going to be when we shot that movie.
No, we could have gotten financing very quickly.
Yeah, if we knew.
Yeah.
And you had directed 12 episodes, or
Yeah.
right? And was that something that they wanted to keep you on, or you wanted to keep on?
That's
'Cause
how they do
normally
it in Israel.
Yeah, so that's
They
how it
cross
works.
board. It's
Right.
kind of director showrunner thing.
Okay.
You do the whole thing for budgetary reasons,
Okay.
basically. That's how it starts. But yeah, it's like it's like doing 4 features.
Right, and they're about 30 minutes or so each.
35.
35,
Because they were
yeah.
42 pages, but I told the producers this will be 35 because they're going to be speaking fast and over each other, and that's the pace I want. And they said, no, we timed it. It's fine. I said, okay. They love this length. Now a lot of shows are going for
Really?
this,
Oh, really?
yeah, because it's perfect for binging. It's 3 sort of, it's like a feature length. So 3 seems to be like the binge appetite for people.
3, really? Like to watch
3 in a row.
3?
Yeah,
So it's an hour and a half.
exactly.
An hour 45.
Exactly. Yeah.
And what is your opinion of the dubbed version that Netflix shows?
It's terrible. I heard like a minute of it. It's horrible. Don't watch. If it pops in the dubbed version, do yourself a favor. Don't.
It's all in English?
No, they only dubbed the Hebrew.
No, they dubbed everything.
The Arabic is in Arabic?
No.
Yeah. No, everything's dubbed.
What are you watching? You're
I
watching
must be. I don't know what I pushed, but I just heard the Hebrew dubbed, and the Arabic is in Arabic with the subtitles.
You gotta. Then you can definitely do something there.
Okay.
Yes.
That's interesting.
Original version. Yeah.
Do you have a question?
I was wondering how much rehearsal did you basically spend with the actors? Be it India, Jason Isaacs, like how much was it?
None.
Couple of none?
None. They don't. They didn't care for it. I usually ask actors, and they said they don't need it. And what I usually do with everything and every actor is I go over the whole script with that actor, and I see that they understand every beat, emotional beat, or every line of dialogue. Everything works for them. And if it doesn't, that's a great time to fix it and not on set. And that's much better than rehearsal, because then they can act out any problems they have. If they need attention, they're getting it. They voice all their concerns, and usually that's all they need, from my experience. If it's complicated mise en scène, then definitely do rehearsals. If the actors are open to it and want it, definitely do rehearsals. If you're an inexperienced director, definitely do rehearsals.
Okay.
Definitely.
How do you do rehearsals? What do you do in rehearsals?
Um,
The actual scene, or you improvise, or?
Yeah, I think you do the scene. Try not to talk about it too much. Actors can hear very few words at any given moment, when you're directing them. So try to be very precise in where you want this to go. And then if you're stuck, open it up with kind of improvisations or exercises. Because ultimately, even if they're assholes, they're right. Because it has to go through them. So even if they're, insisting on the wrong things, you can't convince them, you're going to have to find a way to make them, make it work for them. That's kind of my 2 cents.
Okay.
Doesn't mean you have to do what they say. You have to be smart and manipulative.
Okay.
Okay.
Also, how many drafts did you have to go through for the script before you were close in a place where you thought this works, kind of?
12?
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, but some of them were like, one night of writing, not like a whole thing.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you very
with
much.
writing, just do it. I'm a great believer in vomit drafts and then rewrites. Just do the rewrites. Listen to people. To your wise producers.
Your question?
My name's Oksana. I'm here for the Bachelor in Producing. However, I've done acting, so I understand the acting field, but obviously a lot of us are new into the whole producing, directing, filmmaking. So is there advice or tip that you give us that you wish you knew when you were first starting out that you know now? And you're just if I knew that when I first started, it would have helped a lot, or,
Yes.
Because,
Next one.
I mean, yeah.
2 things. One took me, I think, at least 12 years to actually internalize, even though I was told that so many times. You need a lot of sort of irons in the fire. do not go with one project and believe it's the one, and even though it took you a year to write, and just have yourself married to that project, because it just doesn't work that way, and you'll end up being very disappointed and wasting many, many years, as I have, with projects that didn't take off. Because you kind of like 1 out of 10 scripts that you write maybe will happen. So it's not a good way to go through life. The other thing, which kind of goes hand in hand, is persistence. That's so important. You just have to stick it out. Stick it out in spite and despite of the negativity that will assault you. Hundreds of no's, thousands of rejections. These are real numbers. It's hard, really hard, and it never stops. It never stops. It's just you're on a different stage. That's all it is. So if you want it, which I don't know, may not, persistence is key. Okay?
Yeah.
Dana, what's your tip of the day?
Is right, because even if you do your movie, and I was told, and I made the mistake, and I still make the mistake.
Mm-hmm.
But you make your movie, you put everything into it, you go to a film festival, and everybody's asking you, so what's your next project? And you're like,
this is my project. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you don't have it, and you kind of miss the opportunity, and you miss the timing. That's one. The other thing that I always encourage my students or myself is to keep doing. Today there's no excuses. I mean, you have to make a movie, make it on this, do exercise, go to acting classes after you graduate. That's what I did. I still study all the time. And just to keep doing, even if it's not perfect, you just do and you do and you do and you learn from your project.
It's never perfect.
And yeah.
Rarely it's perfect.
Yeah.
Magical moments in the day that it's perfect or better than you imagine. Usually you save what you can. Steven Soderbergh had the best kind of description of what a set is. It's like the Titanic. And once a champagne bottle, that's the sort of like the first shot of the day, hits the body of the ship, it starts sinking, and you have to know what you're going to save, who you're going to save, and in what order, because you're not going to be able to save everything. It's great, right?
Great.
It's
Yeah,
exactly
it's
that.
That's
it's
great.
exactly that. So
But that's when you go to make it. I'm talking about how to even get to the point of doing it. I graduated, and I just went. I did a movie for $250,000 that I raised, but not even all of it in money. Like I raised, I got a free hotel. I got free food. I was shooting at the time. We were shooting film. If anybody ever shot film, and we were shooting short ends. Did you ever shoot film?
They shoot film here.
Did you ever shoot film?
Of course.
And we were shooting. You know what short ends? Mm-hmm. So we were shooting scene, and suddenly in the middle of a monologue, and but that's I just went out and I did it, and it got a theatrical release, and we got you get on the map, and you kind of like get reviews, and you start. And the other advice that I want to say is that you look around in this room, and you look around in the corridors, and those are the people that are more important for you in a way than people that are coming to talk with you sometimes, because those are the people. Like when I graduated again, my first few movies, 3 or 4 movies, were with people that I met at school. So you have like a whole studio here. You have writers and directors and actors and talent, and you have like a mini studio here. It's amazing. So use those resources and talent and support each other and go out there. And when you graduate, make your movie. There's no excuses. That's my...
While going up there, I have a question. Talk about the relationship between the two of you, or in general, like what you expect from a producer on set and what you're hoping from a director on set, and how did that work out with the two of you?
It's very sensitive.
Oh, okay. Did I cross a line there?
No, not at all. Not at all.
It differs.
Yeah.
It differs. Usually, as a director, I don't want anybody interfering with how I do my job, because it's kind of like driving a very fast car, and somebody asking
you have to save the
question
Titanic.
about
Question in the backseat.
yeah, backseat. So no backseat driving, but afterwards, I think that's when you really need, wise people next to you, giving you advice, telling you what works, what doesn't. And I think that producer's job is really to protect the creative element on set. And Dana, because she's the director, knows that very well. That's kind of like, she's the bodyguard.
I had on my, they were making fun of me in Canada because we had like a very tough line producer, and we had like a very, very tough service company that we hired there, and all they want, and with full respect to them, right? They do make a lot of movies all the time, but what they want is on time, on budget, on time, on budget, on time, on budget. That's all they care about. They're a service company. They have no vision. Like I think that the house in the movie is a character. We saw many different houses, and this was the most expensive. We couldn't afford it. It was very difficult to get. They didn't want to move out. It was very complicated. And I knew, I feel that my job as a producer.
House, not
it was a doctor's.
surprisingly.
Yeah, you're right. It's a doctor's house. But I feel that my job as a producer is to be, and that's why, like I said, the Canadian made fun of me. And on my door, they put a sign, and it said, "Dream Facilitator." I don't know if you remember
Because it's your term.
Dana Lustig, Dream Facilitator, because I was calling everybody and I said, I need another lens, I need this. I'm like arguing, I'm fighting to give him everything for the screen. I'm fighting to give him all the tools. And I'm like, but I'm just trying to facilitate the director's dream. Please help me. I don't have the money, but I'm facilitating his dream. That was like, so they called me a dream facilitator. And I feel that as a producer, it was a very, very, very tough production on many different levels. And I'm not going to get into some of the levels, like really, really, really tough. But I always said that it was one of the easiest productions that I've had, because I had a very talented director that knew what he wanted. And so at least you fight, and you're a dream facilitator, and you're trying, and you're that, but you know that you have somebody that you can trust on the set, that knows how to direct actors, that the camera is going to look amazing, that you're going to have something you're going to be proud of. Whether you agree, I mean, we had some disagreement. I gave him some suggestions. He didn't like my suggestions. We were talking about it. There was like some creative talks during the script stage and all that, but at the end of the day, I feel that when you choose a director, or when the director chooses you, or whatever, it's a partnership, and you got to support the director directing. You don't want to come to the set and be the director, and you want to just take all the headache away. Like half of the stuff that happened, he didn't even know about. Some of the stuff he had to know about, because it's had to do with, budget and amount of shooting and stuff. But we made a lot of decisions together, like the house. We said, we're going to call the investors, and we're going to say, this is the house.
Right.
Or shooting anamorphic.
Yeah.
That cost much more money than so choosing anamorphic. I mean, remember, we had a list of all the overages, and anamorphic.
And they were all justified. It's not like...
They were all
there was
creative decisions, and we had to make some compromises from that list.
Yeah.
And some things we found a way. But I want to talk for 1 second about post, because somebody asked about post. We had a wonderful post-production house in Berlin that were also friends of Assaf. And there's a lot of sort of visual effects in the movie that I think are done so well that you don't notice them.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
all
the toughest
the
kind.
steam
Yeah.
on the mirror. is not real. It would have been a nightmare to create real steam and to be consistent when you have to shoot two sides. How do you keep it consistent? And to create it all the time and all that. So all of that is visual effects, and it's a wonderful, wonderful company in Berlin that does it.
Question?
Hi, Cecia. I'm doing the MFA screenwriting program. You mentioned that the script took about 12 drafts or so. What would you say were the biggest struggles of writing the script? And looking back, what are some tips that you would give yourself to facilitate the process?
No real struggles, because it was a very, very good outline that I worked from, which is kind of, I find the best way to do it is collect a lot of ideas and then write the outline in the most detailed way that you can. And then the script itself is just maybe like 20-25% of the work when you have that kind of an outline, which has bits of dialogue and the whole structure is working. But it's not, you're not working on a script yet, so it doesn't have this daunting sort of fade in, oh my God. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of the way I do it most of the time. So this one didn't have any particular challenges because it had a very elaborate outline, and then it was just rewrites, listening to people, listening to advice, working with the actors, you know, changing lines here and there, but no huge changes, for better or for worse, by the way, because probably some things were just etched in it like so many years ago, I couldn't let go of them. Maybe they're mistakes, I don't know.
Hi, my name is Murli, 8-week acting program. So when you're doing the auditions, did you have the actors do an actual scene from the movie, or was it different? And second part, what did India do that made you think she's it compared to the other actors?
They do scenes. Usually on the first round of auditions, you pick one scene. If it's a more elaborate part like this one, we picked, two sides of one scene. In India, it was clear for us from the beginning that we're basically auditioning the Aram part, because most of the young actresses could do the Maria bit very easily, but none of them could do the Aram part effortlessly as India could.
Thank you.
Welcome.
And I think there's something that I know you guys hopefully will go on a lot of auditions and all that, and sometimes it's not whether, like the original actress, I'm not saying that she was not as good as India, but for this specific role, India was just, she took her, you know, but sometimes it's about who's right.
I
for the role.
agree. 100% agree. I sometimes cast a lesser actress or actor if they're more right for it, because I work a lot with non-actors, people with limited acting skills, and if they're cast well and they're surrounded by the right kind of atmosphere, they're going to be just as good, if not better, than the very seasoned actors. So it's really go for that gap between who the character is and who that person is, and that's where most successful casting is, in my experience.
So you can't go home and you know, beat yourself up about why you didn't get a role or something. It's not necessarily
definitely,
you know, good or bad. It's what's right. What you know. There's so many other elements.
But it is your fault, ultimately.
Go ahead.
So my name is Tino. I'm doing the MFA screenwriting. So I have two questions. I'm going to start with Look Away. Mm-hmm. What did the Assaf, the director, change from the details of the script that Assaf, the screenwriter, wrote? If you changed anything, like on the spot while you were shooting, any like small details, major parts, if any?
I did, but much less than I would if this was somebody else's script. That's the problem. When you write and direct, you're very much attached to your own initial ideas. You think they're the best ones. You protect them. You're protecting the screenwriter. When I direct somebody else's material, I am more open to, fresh and new things that are happening. I still try to, and definitely if the acting, something in the performance was not working, then, and by the way, I'm never a stickler for dialogue. I think dialogue is the least important part of a script. Because dialogue is words. The script has to work without words. Yeah. And then the dialogue, I don't care if it says if or and or but. Sure, they're great lines and they're great, exchanges, but never fight with an actor over dialogue unless they don't remember their lines.
Yeah, I kind of realized because India didn't have any lines until 5 minutes into the movie, basically.
Yeah.
So that was really interesting. So
yeah.
The second question is about a different project that you're working on. I think somebody was mentioning that Stephen King was praising Fauda.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to ask, because I read that you're working on an adaptation on a Stephen King novel.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Rose Manor.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing adaptation in class, and if you have any advice of how you approached this idea of adapting Stephen King, which is probably a difficult project, and also it's Stephen King, so it's one of the big novelists.
Yeah, well, it's just like any other book. You take what you need out of it, and you throw out the rest.
So Stephen King would agree with that as well?
He will have to, or we're not going to be allowed to do it. He signs off on everything that's being adapted by him, but he was very much a sport up till now. I'm the son of a writer and a poet, so I grew up with books. So I respect them, and I can disrespect them too. This is a different art form. It's not a literal art form. So you take what you need, and a good writer, good author, will let go. I would say, yeah.
There's another TV series, Israeli TV series that is, I just read yesterday in the papers that was bought for, it will be on Netflix soon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's good.
Right? בשביל הגיבורים יפים, I don't know how to say it in English.
For Her Heroes Fly. It won in Cannes in the best series this year.
Yeah, and it's good. I only saw the first 2 episodes. But the point I'm trying to say is that it was also based on a book, but it was based, I think, only on 1 chapter from the book. So just one little moment in the book became 8 episode or something series.
10, I think.
So it's exactly what Assaf said. You take what you need, and that's the challenge sometimes. You have an ocean, and you have to focus. What is it that you need?
What do you prefer? The series, doing these 5-day projects, or, in directing something constantly, or diving into one big project?
Well, series is one big project, right, too. It's kind of becoming, it will become one thing, right, because film is having a very slow death, but it is dying, and TV is sort of replacing it, and the screen is bigger, and I don't know. So it is becoming, it's the same thing, I think. Mm-hmm. And directing for TV, like episodes, is not, just like random episodes, is not the same as directing film or directing like pilots or the whole series, because it's more of a technical craft. What was the question?
Well, I was saying, your preference to direct as far as in the episodic or for film.
Same thing to me, and you know what? I found out, I remember I was doing reshoots for a series 5 years ago, and it was just me and the DP, and we were shooting buses going by, and this kind of thing. Just the two of us, like you guys, running around with the camera. I remember how much fun I had, and I said, it feels exactly the same as if you're on a big set, with creating something. There's absolutely no difference inside. Absolutely no difference.
On the contrary, Assaf came off Fauda, where apparently, in Israel, it's everybody's doing everything,
It's
right?
fast and loose, yeah.
And in Canada, it's very structured because it's very, the union. So you're not allowed to move this chair from here to there, because the union of the chair movers are going to come after you. And he was used to I don't know.
Like
two
student
grips,
film
two
mentality,
electric, and grip and electrics are doing the same thing. And if he needs to do something, he hated it when he came to Canada and there were trailers. He's like, why are we spending money on trailers? I'm like, Assaf, it's 40 degrees minus. We need to have the actors somewhere to change. But it's a waste of time. I want the money on the screen. And why do we need so many people? Okay, I'm telling you.
Tell somebody else.
No, but he was upset that we are, and rightfully so, and I understand him. Why do we have, he's like, he came to the set, he's like, we have so many people, and so much money is not going on. I want another 3 days of shooting. I don't want all these people around. Why do I need a craft service and a this and a that and a that?
It's not that,
it was
really,
like,
it destroys the immediacy of work. Every time people go off set to do makeup, it really, really not only slows it down. Actors want to be on set working and then they go and do something else. They don't want that scene and their work interrupted so much. I had the same thing with the Cinemax thing I did. It's like, the more money there is, the more heavy the machinery is. And it just, I think it disrupts the basic flow that you're experiencing now, even though you're suffering from, just eating pizza while you're doing it. But you're still, you're having a creative freedom that you will not have afterwards. I remember being told that and going, oh, yeah, when I was a student. But still, it's true. It's true. If you can preserve that passion and sense of freedom in what you do, then you're going to be okay.
Maybe one more question? Yeah.
My name is Bachet. I'm doing MA in producing. So I have a question for Dana. Did you go over the budget and how did you deal with it? Or did you go over the initial budget or it was all over under the 3 million?
Did you?
How did you deal with departments ask, we need money, you need money for the
constantly, on a daily basis, on a daily, on a moments basis. It's first of all, you get, it's always like people are asking me, they're sending me scripts, how much can we make the movie for? And it's like, you tell me how much money we have, and I'll tell you what we can do and what we cannot do, and what we're going to have to find creative ways of doing it. So it's kind of like a give and take. Obviously, you can't do Star Wars for. I mean, I'm sure there's a way to do Star Wars for $1 million too, but I mean, it's it's going to be a different movie. So
It'll be just a Star War.
But so it's. So we created the budget based on what we thought that we will need, and then we just you go back and forth. A lot of it is, okay, Assaf, so how many extras do we need on the ice? How many we need there? And how, and then you go to the budget. Okay, so we need how many extras here? Can we cut 3 extras from the, And so all day long and like I said, we had our wish list. And I can't remember what we had on that wish list besides the anamorphic and the house and just more days, I think, and more hours and overtime hours.
Time is the only thing you don't want to cut.
And you have to cut time.
And it's the only thing you have when you don't have money. That's what you guys have. You guys shoot probably an 8-minute film in 5 days or something like that. That's like communism, the Tarkovsky shot like that. Yeah. You don't have that luxury
They still
anywhere.
shoot like that over there.
Yeah.
What it was light, was daylight a factor?
Yeah, it was winter and the days were short, but most of the movie is interiors.
Interior, okay, yeah.
So it was, well, it didn't feel like it mostly interiors because we were freezing. buy good coats. Like spend money on coats and lots of underwear, because if you're cold, like seriously,
Nothing helps.
Even in the desert here. I shot the movie here in is it Lancaster? No, what is it? When you go out, Palmdale, and at night it's we couldn't move. It was so freezing. So,
Thank you.
yeah, it's a constant battle and begging and.
Thank you so much, Assaf.
Thank you
Dana.
for
My
coming.
pleasure. Thanks, guys.